Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, when you use promo code DNVR, new customers, you can make a $5 NBA pregame moneyline bet this week, and you're going to get $150 in free bets if that team wins for you with code DNVR only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. I am Patrick Lyons.
And I'm Suzie Hunter. Patrick, how are you doing today? This is a real live show.
Doing great today, especially because the Mets don't necessarily seem to be able to have it all. This Carlos Correa calamity, this saga continues. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about where the NL West sits right now, because a lot of guys have moved out of the division. Is it better? Is it worse? Is it the same? Is it noticeable? We'll talk about all those moves. But of course, we should start with some very somber news today. Projections for the Colorado Rockies in 2023 are out. Suzie.
I was like, did someone die and I didn't know? Like, oh no, it's just our hopes and dreams that have died. Continue, Patrick.
That's very accurate. Yes. Yeah. One projection system out there, actually it was Fangraphs, have the Rockies at having the worst record in all of baseball.
Okay, yeah, like turn the noise down on that. That is ridiculous. The Rockies have never even lost 100 games. What are we talking about?
It's true. They've only ever been the third worst team in baseball, but that also was partially because both the Astros and Cubs were not trying to win at all. They were tanking, and the Rockies were trying and ended up with the third worst record. But other than that, the Rockies have never, you're right, never lost 100 games. Something
Not
that
yet.
They should probably have a banner for. And I'm almost surprised they don't have one yet.
It sounds like we need to make the banner and put it on a t-shirt. Eric, where are you? Please.
So he has a shirt that he sells as just D-Line Co., but it's not in the DNVR Locker store. And I understand why, but it's like the 30th. It'll basically say after this season would be like 30th year NL West participant award. And it's just a bunch of orange slices. So it's like, yeah, that's true. They have participated in the NL West for 30 years. Let's go. That's as good as we can hope for.
These are facts.
Yeah. So the projections that came out by Dan Szymborski, Zips, not favorable, but again, he is not making these choices. He has a system that makes predictions as to what will happen. What's the worst case scenario for a player in the 20th percentile? Maybe what's the best case scenario at the 80th percentile? And it kind of kicks those kind of things around. And he actually says in his article, the problem that plagues the Rockies is a lack of imagination. Which is kind of hard to argue.
Did he elaborate on that?
Yeah, he also went on to say, quote, while it's bad that this group projects as one of the worst lineups in the league, it's even worse that they project as having the lowest variance of any team that he's projected so far this offseason. In other words, the difference between their worst case scenario and the best case scenario is somewhat minimal.
That's actually, I think that is the worst thing. That in itself is the worst case scenario.
Yeah. He said it's a bit like buying a lottery ticket. Almost every time you play Powerball, you're going to be a loser. But if you hit it big, you become famously and fabulously wealthy. Nobody buys a Powerball ticket because the winning prize is a 1989 Mercury Sable. And that's kind of where he sort of pegs the Rockies to be at right now. He continued also by saying the Rockies have enough low variance talent that their floor is probably higher than teams like the Reds, Pirates, or Nationals. But unlike some teams where you could squint and kind of see how they could get to 85 wins, which might be the fewest amount of wins you could need in order to get to the postseason, he is not able to do so here. So he's got some of the projected leaders. Daza, 293, home runs and RBI. Crone, 25 and 88 RBI. The 25 home run, again, not that dazzling. Again, there's a way where, again, he just runs into 5 more. He could get up to 30 and be the first player on the Rockies to hit 30 or more home runs since 2019. Nolan Arenado and Charlie Blackmon. It's been a while since we've seen a Rocky with 30 home runs. This is definitely the largest drought we've had in 30 home run seasons.
And this is not how it's supposed to be at Coors Field. We all know this.
No. Now, the highest wins above replacement on the team, Ryan McMahon, it's only at 2.2, but Ezequiel Tovar is the 4th highest projected wins above replacement at 1.6. So that was kind of very promising to see. His projection system, Dan Szymborski, does really favor Ezekiel Tovar to play well. So that was some good of the good news that did come out of these projections for next season.
Yeah, stay looking at the future, Rockies fans. Just
sure.
look past this season and just keep looking forward.
The other big one that jumped out to me on the
Mhm.
offensive side was so Chris Bryant. You know, if you look at his counting stats, which is something is so hard to do because it's if you're playing, it's not only just playing in the game, but it's an opportunity. That's why RBI is. It's not exactly like the win is for a pitcher, but there, you know, the RBI is definitely flawed. There was a year, I believe, might have been 1992, 93, where like Joe Carter had 99 RBI for the Toronto Blue Jays. And you go, hey, that was a really good season. Except if you go back and look, he had 2 Hall of Famers and 1 Hall of Very Good hitting in front of him in Ricky Henderson, Roberto Alomar, and John Olerud, and actually came up to the plate with, I think, 199 runners in scoring position. So he only drove them home, you know, about half the time. So you go, how good was 99, right? Because it's just only a counting stat. It's not a rate stat. It's not like a percentage. So Chris Bryant, those numbers don't jump off the page. But what did for him was an OPS plus of 121, 100 being league average. He would be 24% greater than league average. We saw that with CJ Cron in 2021. We haven't seen that since Charlie Blackmon and Arenado in 2019. And in the 30th season of Colorado Rockies baseball, this being the 31st coming up here, he would be the 50th player to ever have an OPS plus of greater than 124 with 400 or more plate appearances. So he would be in somewhat rarefied air as, you know, all-time great seasons just by looking at OPS plus. So if he can stay healthy, if Rockies fans can get their Christmas wish of at least 100 games of Chris Bryant, it could be a really good year for KB23.
Yeah, but of course, like, you know, looking at those numbers and the small sample size, I don't know.
True. Yeah, 124.
I'm not like super stoked yet, but like I would love to see 100 plus games from Chris Bryant.
Yeah, that would be great. That absolutely would be great to see.
I'm not asking for a lot. Just 100 games. You know what? I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking for 100 games from Chris Bryant and for him to wear shoes with arch support. That's all I'm asking for.
And there could be a correlation. You know what I mean? Not all causation is correlation, but this one very much could be. Now on the pitching side, no surprise, Airman Marquez, most wins, strikeouts, lowest ERA amongst the starters, 4.32 ERA. You'd sign up for that. Some of the other interesting projections on the pitching side, Austin Gomber, according to Zips on Fangraphs, again, a system created by Dan Zaborski, 4.89 ERA, better ERA than both Kyle Freeland and Antonio Senzatella. So Zips thinks Austin Gomber could have a nice bounce back campaign in the starting rotation for the Rockies next season.
I'm sure Austin Gomber likes that. I'm sure he is. Yeah, last year, what a mess for Austin Gomber last year, getting taken out of the rotation, coming back only for the very last game of the season. I would like to see that from Austin Gomber for sure.
I was just
also that's our constellation. That's our consolation prize for Nolan Arenado. You can't that label's always going to be on him. But I want good things. I want good things from him.
Hope he bounces back. I was actually just looking at his splits because he's a guy where if he doesn't make the starting rotation, hey, left-hander in the bullpen. How did he do in the bullpen last year? Not much better than when he was a starter. Had a 5.11 ERA. But, you know, how much of that had to do with, you know, again, the adjustment between starting and relieving, maybe a bit of an attitude of like, well, do I deserve to be down in the bullpen? Having a bad start, letting something get away from him. I think if he had a more defined role in a bullpen, he could be really good. But I do like his prospects still as a starting pitcher. The entire bullpen was viewed somewhat favorably. Almost the entire bullpen would have a better ERA than most of the starters. So that was positive to see. Tovar, 12 homers, 58 RBI, 10 stolen bases.
That's the production.
That's the projection. That's pretty good.
I would like to see that.
You take that in a rookie season. Elihuris Montero, that was one that jumped off the page a little bit. Again, for first full season, 18 homers, 72 RBI. Definitely like to see that in a full campaign
That would be awesome.
for Mr. Monty. Brian Servin projected to have the 5th highest amongst the regulars on the 26-man roster in wins above replacement. A lot of that has to do with his defense, but again, very favorable. Good to have in a backup catcher. Maybe he even goes ahead and bypasses and usurps, if you will, Elias Diaz. Like, you could see something like that happening, especially if the projection systems are correct. And then finally, Brenton Doyle just added to the 40-man roster in center field in 491 projected plate appearances, assuming he gets called up that early in the season. 16 homers, 65 RBI, 13 stolen bases. That's good.
I would love to see anyone steal a base in Colorado. But did we have like 13 total stolen bases like all last season?
At that altitude? In this altitude?
In this altitude? In this economy?
Now that's a phrase. That's a phrase that we could possibly market. I don't know if you saw on MLB.com, but they came out with their top 10 bloopers of 2022.
Oh, I did not see this, but I love a blooper.
How many Rockies entries do you think there were in the top 10?
I think there were 2 in the top 10.
So my gut was 2 as well. And then I challenged myself to name the 2, and I go, I don't know. They were there. Look, if it's the Rockies, there's going to be 2 Rockies bloopers. But the McMahon ball through the mitt would have been a good one.
That's a hilarious one. I'm also thinking, there were a lot of times when like guys just ran into each other. That's happened a lot.
McMahon and Urania. That one where there was a little dribbler and Urania's like, I guess I'll just try to barehand this where the third baseman's coming in. Yeah, that one. So there you go. All right. So we got our 2.
We've got 2 and they're both McMahon. So those would be my guesses.
Yes. None. There were no Rockies entries, which I guess is a good thing.
I'm sorry, but the mitt or the ball through the mitt is like the funniest thing that happened. One of the funniest things that happened this season. I'm shocked. I am shocked. What made the list over that?
Rudolfo Castro's cell phone blooper, where his blooper popped out of his pocket. Follow-up question, where do you think that ranked in the top 10? He had his cell phone in his pocket. He forgot it. We don't know what he was doing. Dove in head first. That popped out. He got suspended for it because that's technology on the field. Is he trying to get information? Is he trying to track his steps on the health app on Apple? I don't know.
He just wanted to make sure he was getting all of his steps in, and he couldn't find his Fitbit. I feel like that had to have ranked high. That might have been number 1.
I was shocked that it was 6. I was like, what? I thought that was number 1.
I'm sorry. What was better? What was better than that?
Jose Azocar had a ball bounce off his mitt and go over the wall. That was just kind of
that is not more entertaining than a ball going through a mitt.
Yeah, you had some collisions. You had Jeremy Pena was trying to almost turn a double play, and the second baseman was like, no, the play's at first base. I don't want it. So he just kind of tossed it to thin air. So there was not a spectacular group of bloopers this year. A cat running onto the field, those kind of typical things. Like, it was almost a very low-key blooper year.
You know what? It would have been a more entertaining list if they added at least one Rockies blooper. This is Rockies erasure.
I think, Suzie, you need to write 3,000 words over on the DNVR.com on why this was one of the most disappointing years for bloopers. MLB has a blooper problem. Suzie Hunter. Like, that's...
Oh, my gosh. Maybe I will write that. I love stupid bullshit. So, like, that's really up my alley.
That is kind of, like, interesting. You go, they have a blooper problem? Like, not enough of them. They need to be making. Oh my God.
More. Wait, no, that's the Atlanta mascot's name. So like, I don't need more angry Atlanta fans trying to message me about how I'm an idiot.
Well, then you know what we'll have to do? We'll have to make it a diehard only content on the DNVR.com.
Safe space.
Yeah, it's a safe space like that where it's only for you diehards. Like the diehards only Discord that we have for anyone that is a member, that is an official diehard to the DNVR.com, where we can have all kinds of great conversations behind the scenes on whatever you want to talk about. There's a tennis, there's a F1 racing if you're into that, food, hiking, all kinds of different
Mhm.
things besides, of course, the major sports that we know and love here in Denver. You get 15% off when you're down on the corner of Colfax and York, not the actual corner, but the bar located on the corner. You get 15% off your tab for that when you're a diehard, 20% off of dnvrlocker.com on all your gear. You get a free shirt when you have an annual membership. Each and every year, you get a free shirt, 20% off all the tailgates and party buses that we have going down as well over at the dnvr.com and DNVR Locker. If you need tickets to an event, and it's not a tailgate or a party bus type situation, you got to use Game Time Tickets. That's the app. It's not the newest thing in the world. We're supposed to say it. Sorry, I got to pull the curtain back.
Yeah.
Suzie, it's not one of the hottest, newest ticketing sites. It's just the consistently scorching hot ticket site for the last decade. I've been using it for a decade. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
I've
can't
been
say
using
it.
Game Time forever. Like, I don't know at what point are they not new anymore. No, but yeah, I've been using Game Time for a while. They've done a great job.
Yeah, if it's new to you, that's fine. Jump on board now. Get that clock on so you can say, "Oh, I've been using Game Time tickets for this amount of time, whatever it is. I've used it to get floor seats at big events, behind home plate, 50-yard line, courtside, whatever it is."
Mhm.
But the biggest thing that you'll be able to brag about is how cheap you get your tickets, because when you wait up to about an hour before the start of an event, which Game Time allows you to do. Most other apps, I think they take it off at around the 2-hour mark,
Yeah.
but you get last minute price drops that can only
Mhm.
be found on Game Time tickets. I've done this for shows at Red Rocks, and I've gotten really cheap seats. It's fantastic to use. You can use it in any market too. If you're traveling, or if you know someone that lives in a city that lives near a really cool venue, they should be using Game Time tickets. Join over the 15 million people who've already downloaded the Game Time app and save. Score the best seats to all your favorite events. You can also hit the link in our description. That helps us out just a little bit. It also helps us out.
Little.
Yeah, it does. It also helps us out if you check out DraftKings Sportsbook, especially because right now we're talking about fans, we're talking about tradition, talking about glory. Yes, it's college football bowl season. I use DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sports apps. New customers can bet $5 on any pregame money line bet for a college football team. Can even be a heavy favorite. Take advantage of that because they want to get you started. They want to get you feeling good. And so when that team wins for you, you're going to get $150 in free bets. Seriously, it's pretty much a no-brainer.
Oh,
It
yeah.
might take it might take some brains for the same game parlays. Like let's face it. You got to get 2, 3, or 4 different things right in the same game. But there's a good chance if you're checking out the DNVR Bets show on our network, or there's a
Mhm.
podcast or a live show on DNVR Sports channel on YouTube, or you're just watching the regular beats, we'll point you in the right direction. Because when you stack those same game parlays together, it gives you an even bigger, a very big payout in
Mhm.
the end. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code DNVR, new customers. All you got to do is place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any college football team to win. You're going to get $150 in free bets when that team does with code DNVR, and only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Thank you, Patrick.
Suzie, last week, Aaron Judge was named the 16th captain of the New York Yankees. And I know we said we're not going to talk about him anymore, but we're just going to use him as a catalyst.
Okay.
Because wouldn't it be great for the Rockies to have a captain of some variety? I mean,
How
they're
many teams do a captain?
not very many, not
Yeah.
anymore. Not very many, but the Rockies have modeled themselves out after the Yankees, at least their uniforms. And, again,
Mhm.
Yankees are a classy organization in that way. You think about whether
Yeah.
you agree with it or not, the no facial hair thing, like, all right, you're trying to be classy. You might not need to be, but you're trying to be classy. The Rockies do that. They've got they make sure that their minor leaguers, their hair is only so long. They've got some facial hair specifications and stuff with that going on. So like, they want to be like the
You have to
Yankees.
earn. You have to earn the beard. You have to earn the mullet. You have
You
to
do.
work for it. You can't have it until you're a major leaguer.
You got to earn the nasty in Chuck Nasty.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
do.
he didn't show up in Colorado looking like this.
Yeah. Yeah. The Rockies need to get the captain going. The obvious choice right now, and it might only be for 1 year because that's all he's got left on his deal, but Charlie Blackmon, I think that would
Mhm.
be a good way to get the ball rolling from there and really maybe even take some pressure off the next guy who's going to be the captain, where you say, oh, no one can deny Charlie Blackmon is an all-time Rockies legend. I still contend that his number 19 has a good chance of being retired at some point. So started off Charlie Blackmon as a captain, and then from there, I mean, who would you think it might be next up in line on the Rockies to be a captain, young or old?
You know what? I am not sure if he would be next, but definitely someone who I think has potential. Lucas Gilbreth, because he is a clubhouse tastemaker.
I like that pick. Yeah, he is one
He
of those
takes
guys.
what everyone is interested in and he like makes it into a thing. He brings it to the next level. A natural leader. I could see that. Ryan McMahon too. Also such a great leader. Always is the first to speak up in the clubhouse. So I would. These are some options that I see.
I got McMahon as my top pick, and I like the Gilbreth one especially where if maybe not this season or the next one coming up, because again, who knows what happens? I don't think we'll see him as a starting pitcher again. He was in the minor leagues. I think he's a reliever now, but if he becomes a ninth inning guy and becomes a left-handed closer like Brian Fuentes, again as a again, think about Daniel Bard, and you go, okay, he's got those captain type qualities. Lucas Gilbreth could be in that same general role, so that works. I think Kyle Freeland possibly as a starter. Now, the Yankees actually have had a starter as a captain. Ron Guidry who's also a left-hander. He was a co-captain with Willie Randolph for 3 years for the Yankees. But Suzie, it's a good time for a pop Suze. Good time. I got 8 names on my list, and you got to tell me of the 16 Yankee captains that they've had in their history. Judge, Derek Jeter, Don Mattingly. Like those are 3 of the last 3, the most recent ones. Yeah. I'm not going to ask you about them. I'm going to ask you the more obscure ones. So you got to tell me, is this a former Yankee captain or a former Captain Planet voiceover artist?
Oh no! I'm going to do a really bad job at this.
Do you remember Captain Planet at all, or do you know of it?
I mean, Captain Planet was like I've seen Captain Planet, but like I was not the prime age for that when it was on.
I may have been, and I still was like, nah, I'm good. Like I was not. I didn't care about the environment quite as much when I was a child, believe it or not, as I do when I'm an adult.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They finally got you. It's the long con. It's not about immediately in that moment. It's about making you care about it at some point in the future.
All right, so first up, again, is this a Yankee captain or a Captain Planet voiceover artist? Okay. Clark Griffith. Yankee captain, Captain Planet.
Yankee captain.
You would be correct. First ever captain. He was also a pitcher. He owned the Washington Senators for a period of time, moved them out to Minnesota. Number 2, Ed Asner.
Okay. I feel like I should know this.
Have you heard that name before?
I've heard that name before.
Okay, you should have, yeah.
Is he a Yankee captain?
No.
He's a voiceover artist?
Yeah, he's an actor. He was the voice of Hoggish Greedley. He was also, I think, the voice of the old man in Up. We have to double check that.
That sounds right. Sounds correct.
All right, Frank Chance.
Yankee captain.
Yes, yes. 5th captain, more well known for his time with the Chicago Cubs as part of baseball's said lexicon, Tinkers to Evers to Chance. Number 4, Joey Didio.
A voiceover artist.
You would be correct. Wheeler, who was one of the kids. All right, you're back on track here. 3 out of 4. Roger Peckinpah.
Definitely a Yankee captain.
It just sounds like it. You would be correct. Yes, he was the captain before Babe Ruth and was actually the longest captain. He was captain for like 5 or 6 years, so the longest captain before Derek Jeter's time. How about James Coburn?
Yankee captain.
He would be an actor. Loot and Plunder. He was the voiceover. He was a notable actor. If you looked him up, you might have like seen some of his older films in like the 60s and 70s. I think he was in like Flint. If you've ever seen that movie. All right. Everett Scott.
Yankee captain.
You would be correct. Yes. He was the captain after Babe Ruth. And then finally, Gordon Sumner.
Yankee captain.
I was hoping to get you on this one. No, Gordon Sumner is the real name of Police frontman Sting. That's his real name.
It really?
Gordon Sumner, yes.
And
Useless information.
And he was in Captain Planet?
Yes, as Zarm. I don't, but you did well. I think you did really well there.
You know what? I did a lot better than I thought I was going to.
I may have to play back the tape. You may have said Yankee captain for all 8. I'm not sure.
I didn't.
Okay.
I
All
did not. No, I did. I think I said 7 out of 8.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let that go there.
Not
That's
all
good.
of them, but most of them, yes.
Carlos Correa, man. The whole saga.
We got to talk about Carlos Correa.
A whole thing. So last Tuesday, we were supposed to have the press conference. There was a concern over the physical with the San Francisco Giants. Boris didn't even bother to ask why. Did he know what the issue was? Did he care? Decides to move on from the deal since it wasn't made official. He contacts Stephen A. Cohen. The rest is history, except it's not history because it's now been longer. It's been 4 days since the Mets physical on Correa. I think that's how many days. Whereas with the Giants, it was only a day before Scott Boras took off and he went to the Mets. So Correa's camp wants to stay with the Mets, but they've got to work this out because the Mets do not like the physicals either.
Oh, what a shock. What a shock.
Yeah. No, it's so.
What is in that physical? What do we think it is?
Well, he's got a leg thing from when he was in the minor leagues in 2014. That sounds like that's like the biggest thing. But again, he's played since then. That hasn't kind of reared its head. The back injury. The only thing I could think is, unless there's like new procedures, so to speak, from doctors of saying like, well, if you have X amount of injuries, it means now you're going to be favoring one leg more than the other. So now you're going to have an overuse injuries. I know that the Dodgers do something amazing where, they get all their guys in a lab and they'll find out like, oh, your right leg is a little bit weaker than your left. And so you're favoring. So now you're putting more wear and tear on your left leg because you had an injury on your right leg when you were a kid. And so now that's going to become an injury where you go, oh, my right leg was the one that was injured and now it's my left. Well, yeah, because of you favoring it. And so they help, work their guys when they're in the minor leagues to get through those things so that they become, strong, all around. And so there could be teams that are looking at that going, hey, you know what? There's enough bells and whistles that this could be a problem down the line. Maybe we need to renegotiate. It sounds like Correa wants to stay and his camp wants to stay with the Mets. So they're going to have to work something out, maybe put provisions in the deal. I don't know that the deal's going to change at all. They just might have to put certain provisions in the deal where if there is a specific type of injury, whether it's back or leg, then the Mets might be able to opt out. Like that gives them insurance.
Interesting. Oh, what a mess. What a mess. Who would have thought that Carlos Correa would be the epicenter of this damn mess?
New York mess. And he's 28. That's the thing. He was like the youngest free agent in this class, even after he was the youngest free agent in last year's class. So, but there's not like there's precedence for this before. Another Scott Boras client, JD Martinez. There's some issues about his foot when he signed a 5-year deal with the Boston Red Sox, and the Red Sox were like, well, we won't kill this deal, but we'll just put provisions that, protect us from this going forward. And he had no foot injuries going forward. So it ended up working out fine for both parties. So that's that. I don't know when this saga ends because it's just been going on and on forever and ever, but eventually it will. I think. I don't know.
What if it just doesn't? What if it never sorts itself out?
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be a third baseman too. That's the other thing. Obviously, Francisco Lindor there at shortstop. Correa has played third base before. I don't think he's ever played third base in the majors. He probably never played third base in the minors, but he did play third base in the World Baseball Classic because Francisco Lindor, his teammate on the Mets now, quote unquote teammates. I mean, I don't. We'll see if they actually stay teammates.
His potential teammate.
Can't even say probable. Just potential. Yeah, we had to downgrade it. Lindor was playing shortstop, so Correa went over and moved over to third base for that. So,
all right. So he's done it. He can do it.
He's done it. Yeah. No, he's got that. He's an athletic guy. He's flexible enough, and he's got that $1 million smile. Well, Francisco Lindor is Mr. Smile. And if you want to be Mr. Smile, Mrs. Smile, Senior Smile, whatever it is, you got to make sure you
smile.
Senorita Smile. Why not? Mademoiselle Smile, although at that point, what's the French word for smile? I don't know. But I do know the word for pearly whites is Green Mountain Dental Group. Look that up in the thesaurus. You will find it there. 15 minutes outside of downtown Denver. That's it. That's all it is. They want to hook you up in a real major way. They've already hooked up so many of our folks before. We're talking like root canals. We're talking like some serious work that needed to be done on some folks, and they provide just such great service to all of their patients, like calling, getting updates, making sure they've got the proper medication, make sure they need refills. They really go above and beyond with Green Mountain Dental Group. We love them, and right now, in fact, if you mention DNVR Sports, you're going to get a $300 discount for a full orthodontics treatment if you are a new patient, or you can get a free set of bleach trays, which is a $350 value. That's the way to go. It will not make your teeth sensitive. I thought that was going to be the case for me.
That's huge. That is a huge thing in teeth whitening. That's like the big problem is the teeth sensitivity. And I'm happy to hear that that's not an issue.
Yeah, I was worried about it because I read those kind of like horror stories, but Green Mountain Dental Group, they're aware of that. And they're like, no, we're not going to be working with that kind of product. They take feedback from their patients. So again, they want to get you that free set of bleach trays with a new patient cleaning, x-ray, and exam. Again, that's at Green Mountain Dental Group, located just 15 minutes from downtown Denver. Athletic Greens is something I use each and every day. I started taking it immediately and started feeling the difference right away once we got some of the product in. Started taking, I think it was spring training. Spring training was when we first started partnering up with the folks at Athletic Greens. I had the travel packs with me on the road, and they were so clutch. In fact, they want to give you 5 free travel packs if you go ahead and make a purchase over at athleticgreens.com/Rockies. They are going to give you 5 free travel packs. They're going to give you 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamin D.
These are huge.
It's huge. And all you got to do is with the travel packs, you rip it open, dump it in your water. First thing in the morning, gulp it down. It's delicious. It actually does taste good. It's almost like Fun Dip. Like seriously, like there's some kind of sweetness. It is. I know that
it's not as sweet as Fun Dip. Fun Dip is so gross.
It's not as sweet, but it has that kind of sweetness and that like fun texture to it. In your water, it's definitely not the same. But just like as you're scooping it out of the bag, there, and I get some on my fingers, I'll clean it off. Boom.
You're insane, Patrick. You are wild.
It's a healthy Fun Dip. I do love it. Again, whether it's 1 pack or 1 scoop, you're getting 75 high quality vitamins, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens, minerals, you name it. It's the way to go. athleticgreens.com/Rockies.
Sounds good.
Now, Andrew Baggerly from The Athletic, he had a great commentary of like 20 bullet pointed questions of like the Giants failed to get their guy again. They didn't have any luck signing John Lester, if you remember that, almost a decade ago now. When he went with the Cubs, won a World Series there in like his second season. They couldn't get Giancarlo Stanton, formerly Mike Stanton, but Giancarlo Stanton from the Marlins. They lost that on that bidding war. Bryce Harper they were targeting, didn't get him. Judge and Correa. In fact, this was courtesy of Danny Vietti, who
he's so funny. He pumped out so many funny things.
So first glance, you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. It's just the retired numbers in Giants history. You got Willie Mays, 24, Barry Bonds, Juan Marichal, Orlando Cepeda with the years that they played. And then the final 2, of course, Aaron Judge, his number 99. You zoom in close and you see that it was from 2:20 p.m. to 2:27 p.m. Those 7 minutes during the winter meetings when Arson Judge.
Judge, not Aaron Judge, Arson Judge.
That's actually what it says. I didn't realize that now. That's how layered this is. It doesn't say Aaron Judge. It just says Arson Judge for those 7 minutes. And then Carlos Correa, his number 4 for those 7 days between December 14th to December 20th, 2022.
Yeah, Giants fans should be mourning. Giants fans should absolutely be mourning. Also, we should be celebrating all the dudes that did not end up in the NL West playing against the Rockies because the Giants have missed out on these guys. The Padres were trying to throw money at dudes and they weren't getting them. So, that these are wins for us, tiny wins. But
Yeah.
that is hilarious. Danny Vietti did a fantastic job because that is hysterical.
He is hilarious.
Mhm.
There's a guy I used to listen to when I did more fantasy sports, and I needed to know like the entire 40-man roster and then the top 40 prospects of every National League team. I would listen to this one Padres podcast with
Mhm.
Craig Elston, and so he had an interesting tweet from the Padres' point of view that the Padres are offering Carlos Correa a 13-year deal with 12 player opt-outs, which would be very fitting for the San Diego Padres. And they still could do that at this stage. They very well could do that.
You know what? I was gonna say this is in the realm of possibility, but also, yeah, Carlos Correa loves an opt out too.
Oh my God, he does. Yeah, I don't think if there was going to be an opt out in his Mets deal, that definitely will be coming out. There's still like apparently 3 teams still interested in Carlos Correa. I think
Still, after all this drama.
the Twins, who saw his physical last year and he was a Twin, still offered him a 10-year, $285 million deal before he ended up going to the Giants and then the Mets. So I'm thinking that deal probably would still be on the table as an option. I find it fascinating. Like I sort of think that Stephen A. Cohen, and we'll talk about this on Thursday. He's worth what, like $14 billion. He has a $1 billion art collection. We'll talk about some of the crazy pieces of art that he's got.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the art collection.
It's wild, perverse.
It's weird.
Is that a good word? Perverse? Not perverted, but perverse.
No, not perverted, but it's to me it's gross.
It's okay. I'll take that gross. But as a businessman, I couldn't help but think now that this whole, well, we don't like what we see in the physical either, we might have to renegotiate or something. It makes me think of just like a business school mind of like, no, this guy wants to come to New York. Let's get the deal that we offered, and then we are going to find a problem, and then we're going to renegotiate. Like he's already like used goods. He's going to go to now a third team potentially. This is probably too much for Carlos Correa and his camp. So you know what? Let's get in, promise him that money, and then have an issue, and then actually like lower the bar for less money. I don't know if that'll exactly happen, but I could see it very much as a business strategy of, you know what?
Oh, definitely.
Not only are we paying less to get him, more average annual salary, but less overall in the deal, we might even be able to come down lower than that, because if he goes, he doesn't want to go back out on the market again. He wants to get it done, and that could just be a savvy move.
Okay, Patrick, I do have a question for you because this whole Carlos Correa situation where, it was a big hullabaloo about him, agreeing to terms with the Giants, and the press conference is about to happen. The medical stuff came up, and then another team swoops in. I don't remember this ever happening before, but am I wrong? Like, has anything like this ever happened in an off season?
Like it, yes, but not how you just described, like you said, where like someone kind of comes in, especially at the point in which you've had a deal with a guy for 7 days. Like if you've got the deal, you've got a deal. It's just all formality. Like, I mean, Aaron Judge, signed, he agreed to his deal at the winter meetings, and then the press conference wasn't until, last Thursday. So that's fine. That's just all formality. If you've got a handshake deal, you got a handshake deal. Yeah. The only thing that's ever happened similar to it was in 2013 with Dallas. I almost said Dallas Braden. Wasn't him. Grant Balfour. Grant Balfour signed a deal with the Baltimore Orioles after coming over as a free agent from the Oakland Athletics. They didn't like his physical, and they totally squashed the deal. And that was the first of its kind that I can ever remember. Then he signed a 2-year deal with the Rays for a little bit less. But that was that's a relief pitcher. That's not $300 million. That's not a marquee free agent. That's just pretty wild. So it is very unprecedented for sure.
Yeah, no, the whole thing was it's still wild to me. I woke up on my birthday and I was like, excuse me, Carlos Correa is a what?
Yeah.
But maybe he won't be a Met. We'll see what happens.
The Giants immediately tried to go into PR mode. They signed Michael Conforto, 2-year, $32 million deal. Now, Conforto is a Scott Boras client, and that was one of the questions of like, will the Giants ever do business with Scott Boras again? Yeah, pretty quickly. Quickly they did. And then the other one that was probably even more interesting, Taylor Rogers, a guy that both Taylor Rogers and Conforto I thought would have been good fits for the Rockies, but would have been a great lefty out of the pen for Colorado. He signs 3-year, I think it was $33 million deal. or maybe it was $30 million to go to the Giants and play alongside his twin brother, Tyler Rogers, twins on the same team. It's never happened before.
That is so cool. When I saw that, I was super happy to see them in the same place. They don't have to play against each other. They're on the same team, finally, for the first time since high school, right?
Yeah, Sheffield High School. That was it. The O'Brien twins both played in the same game. The Rogers twins have already played in the same game, but no twins have ever played for the same team. We'll have to have our own little DraftKings Sportsbook over under, like how many times will they pitch in the same game this season?
Oh my God. That's going to be so confusing in the clubhouse because I can't tell these guys apart. It's hard. Telling twins apart is hard. And now they're in the same uniform.
Yeah.
Like just like out of the corner of your eye, it's going to be like, okay, which one is that?
Well, no, I'm sure their parents are like, thank God they have to wear numbered uniforms because now we can tell them apart. Maybe that's what you do. If you have twins, you have to put them in a baseball uniform with different numbers and different like color make one of them a captain so you don't have to turn the baby over to see what number. Oh, 12. Oh, this one's Tyler. This one's Tyler.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. But like imagine being one of those reporters in the clubhouse, like waiting for, let's say you want to just talk to Taylor and like waiting and be like, are you Taylor walking in right now? Or like, just think of the chaos. I would hate it.
I talked with both of them last year and I mean, they're twins. I mean, there's nothing you can do. Now, thankfully, they each throw with a different hand, which is true. Very important. But even still, that will be interesting to see. It's been interesting this entire offseason in the NL West because I feel like a lot more players have left the division than have come in. Now, if I'm breaking them down from like top to middle to lower tier, and we're not even going to bother talking about the lower tier guys, but top tier guys, only two real top tier players I think have left the West. Carlos Rodon of the Giants, he signed with the Yankees, and Trey Turner. Those are the only two guys I would kind of put in that elite class. And again, they all signed for over $100 million. And the only one that has come in now that Carlos Correa is not in the division is Xander Bogaerts. That's it. So you went from 2 to 1. So, and maybe even say Turner Bogaerts is a swap. So the division lost a really talented pitcher in Carlos Rodon, but it's the middle tier where there's been a lot of movement. I've sort of put the number at 9 middle tier free agents have left the division, and only about 5 have come in.
Who do you put in that middle tier?
A lot of Dodgers players, and there's probably variants. And again, this is an opinion, but Tyler Anderson. Gone. He's with the Angels. Cody Bellinger of the Dodgers is gone. He's with the Cubs. Andrew Heaney is off the Dodgers. He's with the Rangers. Chris Martin, a very good guy that he was acquired in a trade, so he was a late addition by the Dodgers. He's now with Boston. Joey Gallo didn't do too much as a Dodger, but still, he signed a 1-year, $11 million pact with the Twins. Tommy Kahnle went from the Dodgers to the Yankees. Justin Turner, Dodgers to the Red Sox. Dodgers lost a lot of guys. I'd put Carlos Estevez in that group for the Rockies. Josh Bell for the Padres. Maybe you put Brandon Drury in there. Both those guys weren't with the Padres very long. They came over in a trade at the deadline. And then Mike Clevenger, who he hasn't been himself since 2020, but I would still give him a little bit of credit going from San Diego to the White Sox. Diamondbacks haven't lost anybody yet of real value. Zach Davies and the rest of their free agents are pretty much unsigned.
Yeah.
I like Zach Davies, but I wouldn't necessarily call him one of those middle tier guys worth, $10 million or more or worth a 2 or more year contract.
Yeah, I feel like the Diamondbacks have been getting so much more back in the trades that they've made this offseason. I'm a little concerned. So
that's a good point. And that was a great trade that they made the other day. We didn't get a chance to talk about it because it happened over the weekend. They traded one of their 4 outfielders. That was a big talk during the winter meetings. You can actually go back. If you go on DNVR Sports, our guys Jesse and Derek, they've been talking a lot about it. Who's going to be one of their 4 outfielders that they trade. Dalton Varsho had 4 years left of club control. The rest of the outfielders, they all had 6. But they trade a left-handed hitter in Dalton Varsho to the Blue Jays, who are going to have a very talented defensive outfield this year. They got back Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who's a good right-handed hitting outfielder, only on a 1-year deal. But then they get basically a top 5 prospect in the game, the best catching prospect from the Blue Jays, Gabriel Moreno. So they've got him for 6 more years. that extends their window of contention. They've got three really good outfielders, all three that could be all-stars at this point, and yet now they have a potential all-star catcher. So they've made a lot of really, really good moves in trades the last few years. The Zach Gallen for Jazz Chisholm, great, just baseball trade, 1-for-1. And this deal that you point out, Suzie, was another one of those really great baseball trades that seems like a win-win for both sides.
It really does. You don't always, definitely is a win-win for both sides, but I feel like the Diamondbacks won just a little bit more.
Yeah.
How nice for them.
Yeah. The middle tier guys who've come into the division, I would say Noah Syndergaard from Philly to LA, Mitch Haniger, Mariners to the Giants, Conforto, Taylor Rogers, both Giants guys, and then JD Martinez for the Dodgers. So Dodgers lost about 5-6 guys. They only brought in JD Martinez, but some of their smaller deals that they've made, like a Shelby Miller. In a year from now, we're going to be looking back and saying like, oh man, that guy is really good. Shelby Miller next offseason would not surprise me if he got a 2 or 3 year deal at, just under $10 million annual value. So they're really solid all around. They're also Sean Manaea stayed in the division. Shelby Miller stayed in the division as well. Jurickson Profar, he's still out there. Will Myers, we forgot to mention Will Myers with Cincinnati. He's gone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
So would you say right now, just from that list, thinking about the free agents, because there haven't been a ton of trades. Like again, that Diamondbacks trade that you pointed out has really been the only significant trade, I think, in the division. The Rockies had the Nolan Jones deal, but for the most part, nothing major. Are the Dodgers better or worse than last year based on who they've brought in and who they've left?
Right now, they are worse.
They have to be worse. I would agree.
But there's still more off-season left.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
I feel like, the Dodgers are definitely the organization that has something up their sleeve, and they're gonna. I'm not too concerned about what they're gonna pull off.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Worse right now. I don't think they're gonna get better, but they could be the same. But you're right. They're definitely worse for the wear.
It would be tough for them to get better because they won 111 games last season.
That too. But
there's
again,
not a lot of room. The only way that could have been a better season was if they performed in the postseason.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, based on all of the guys that they lost, I don't even know how you get that much back, let alone more than that and be better. The Giants, I would say I would have them only as a little bit worse. Rodon is the big one that they lost.
Yeah.
But they brought in Conforto, Rogers, Sean Manaea. I'm okay with saying that they're about the same, but maybe actually no, they're about a little bit worse for the Giants. Padres, they're probably about the same.
Yeah,
maybe better. Same to
I think
a little
they're
bit
a little better. I think they're just a touch better.
Yeah, I would agree. And then Diamondbacks and Rockies. The Diamondbacks I would say that they are better. I think you'd probably rather have the more veteran guy in Dalton Varsho in their outfield than Gabriel Moreno, rookie catcher. But by the end of the season, that could look like a win. And then the Rockies, are they better than last year? Are they worse? They're probably about exactly.
I think they're the same. I think they're the same.
And I think they still might have a couple small moves left in them, kind of similar to coming back from the pandemic. They signed Colome. They signed Jose Iglesias and Chad Kuhl to those 1-year deals. I think they'll have some more of those possibly before the reporting to spring training, which is right around the corner here.
It's very soon.
But even still, those smaller deals I don't think will necessarily make them better. And I wouldn't say that they're necessarily worse. They're probably about the same overall based on the moves from this offseason.
Yeah. No, I think you're right on this one. Definitely. I'm on board.
Just this one though.
Just this one. I can't vouch for everything you say, Patrick, but I'll vouch for this.
Well, we got a couple more podcasts this week still, so I'll have a chance to be a little bit more right, and then turn the leaf over because it's going to be a brand new year next week. Thomas Harding, Wednesday in studio, 11 a.m. on DNVR Sports Channel on YouTube.
Oh my God, you got Patrick, you got Thomas Harding to come in. That's amazing.
I got the big TH, man. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun.
I'm a big Thomas Harding fan. He's just the best dude.
Have you seen the work that he's done in uniform designs because he also like
Mm-hmm.
moonlights as a uniform designer. So we're going to be talking about some of these uniforms that he's made.
Oh, damn. I know. Oh my gosh. I can't wait. I'm so jealous that I am not on this show with him because he's so delightful, but I'm excited to watch this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know where to watch it, so you can still be there. Now I'm
On the
expecting you.
on the DNVR Sports channel on YouTube.
Now you better be in the chat, okay? You just put yourself on blast there. No, it's
I'll be in the chat.
check us out on Twitter because we're having a lot of fun over there as well. It still exists, so we're gonna keep
For now.
cranking out the content at DNVR_Rockies. At Patrick D. Lyons is where I'm at on Twitter.
And you can find me at the Suzie Hunter on all platforms.
Look, this has been momentous and very momentum building, but unfortunately, you know what they say about momentum, Suzie?
What do they say?
It's only as good as your next show. So we've got a lot of momentum because tomorrow is Thomas Harding at 11 a.m. on DNVR Sports Channel.